Hello and welcome back to the workshop. In today's video I kind of want to do a combination of a story time and a double keyboard review. I've got into collecting mechanical keyboards a couple years ago, and that basically meant I had two options of obtaining keyboards. One of them is buying brand new keyboards off eBay from China, and I did find a couple pretty good deals over there. But I've always been more into old vintage keyboards. And that means going on my local auction site and trying to find something old. Here the prices are usually much better than on eBay, so I like to use it a lot. Basically I've never even bought, apart from one exception, any vintage mechanical keyboards on eBay because their prices are skyrocketing. This listing really is the reason I got into mechanical keyboard collecting because it was such a great deal I couldn't believe it. I've just been hooked ever since. So one day I was browsing my local auction site and I've come across a listing which was very vaguely titled just two keyboards or two old keyboards or something like that. And the price was fairly reasonable, so I clicked on it to check out and see what they have. So the two keyboards in question, one of them I immediately recognized because I've recently watched a video of a very similar keyboard. So I had a vague idea as to what it might be. It was an Acer keyboard. It looked to be in really good condition, very nice and white. And it was probably going to be an Acer 6511, which is the rubber dome with slider keyboard from Acer. It's the successor to the 6311, which was a clicky switch mechanical keyboard but still using membrane. And well, I was thinking it's either of the two. It was probably going to be the 6511 because the box seemed to have a sticker on it which said 6511, but I wasn't sure because the picture was a little bit blurry. The other keyboard was kind of unknown. I had no idea what it was going to be. I just assumed it was going to be another dome with slider keyboard. The price was right, and I was looking for old keyboards. I wanted to check them out, so I ordered it, hoping that it might be a 6311. I'm going to try to reenact what exactly happened that day. So I got the keyboards, and I started opening them up. Basically, it was just the two boxes taped together. Not the best packaging job, but yeah, what can you do? Some people just don't really put a lot of effort into it. I opened up the first box and put the first keyboard in front of me. Now, as you do when you get a new keyboard, you can't help yourself but to try a couple keys out. And when I did that, I could not believe what I was hearing. This is not a rubber dome keyboard, that's for sure. After a bit of digging, I figured out that this is actually a Syncan branded TK-M501C, which is a buckling spring keyboard, and it seems to be in really good condition. I could not believe my luck. Now, let's talk about the price, because I've not mentioned that yet. The two keyboards together cost me a grand total of about $6 US, and that's including shipping. So when I said that the price is right, I meant the price is right for even two rubber dome keyboards, so whatever, I'm gonna jump on it. But we're already off to a great start. This is a buckling spring keyboard. I've always wanted a buckling spring keyboard. Now, let's move on to the other keyboard though. I got it out of its package, put it in front of me. All I had to do was just press a key. Jackpot. Both of these keyboards are mechanical. It's exactly what I wanted. This is not a 6511, it is a 6311. Which means that it uses Acer's clicky switches, which are fairly similar in design to the IBM Model M buckling springs, which is actually quite funny if you think about it. Well, it uses an Alps-style housing and stem. Underneath, it functions very similar to a Model M. This keyboard is a hammer over membrane design, but it uses a leaf spring to create the click. When you press it down, it actuates the hammer, which presses down on the membrane. It's funny that I've got a package for only $6 that contained two very similar to IBM Model M keyboards. This one in actuation design, and this one in being a buckling spring keyboard. Let's return to the Syncan for a little bit to take a closer look at it. Now I have a slight idea of the background of this keyboard. Most likely the seller was just selling on some items he's inherited from a family member. These keyboards being packaged together, they had no other listings that were remotely similar to this one, so I think they probably had no idea what they were selling. And but I still think that they, for just cheap random keyboards, that's pretty much the price you would have paid. They just didn't know that these were very nice mechanical keyboards. And the previous owner must have been a huge fan of them. I believe what must have happened is that they must have used this keyboard and then they wanted to upgrade it, either because maybe it was getting a bit tired, or because they wanted a PS2 keyboard, which this is not. This is an AT style keyboard. I believe the previous owner must have been a number cruncher, because I've noticed how the numpad keys are a lot more, they're a lot less refined. They feel a little bit scratchy, sticky. I believe the plus key sometimes tends to even get stuck if I'm not careful. So you can definitely feel that there's a bit of friction going on in the numpad area. So I'm thinking they must have been a number cruncher. Used the numpad a lot, because all the other keys feel absolutely perfect. They're amazing, and I can't really complain that the numpad is a little bit rougher. I think I might even be able to fix it if I wanted to by lubing the stems a little bit. But this is an incredible keyboard. So the way this works is same as IBM Model M. There's a buckling spring, and when it buckles, the switch gets activated. A huge difference between this and IBM's buckling spring design is that you can basically take out the whole mechanism without having to disassemble the keyboard. So if I remove a key, here you can see the stem. It's actually very similar to, just a normal rubber dome keyboard keycap. And you can actually take out this right here. This is the hammer and the spring, and that's it. I've taken it out. And I can just pop it back in. Make sure to line up the dot on the keycap with the spring, and it should be all good. It is also possible that the previous owner did not know how to fix the keyboard. There were a couple switches that did not click and did not register, but all I had to do was just remove the keycap, realign the spring so it connects with a little dot on the keycap, and once the spring is lined up properly, it actuated all the time. The switches are very, very smooth. The keycaps on the Syncan use a very nice Helvetica font, and they're fairly average, not very thick keycaps. They're not double shot. I do not know what kind of legend it's using. It's most likely laser etched, but it could be some sort of hybrid from back in the day. The layout is referred to as the focus layout. The backspace is not actually split, which is very nice. I personally don't care too much because I have so many keyboards that have a split backspace that I've kind of gotten used to them. But it's always a nice thing to see that the backspace is full size. We have a big ass enter, and the backslash key is actually put right of the shift key. So overall, I'm very, very happy with this professional key dashboard, especially for that price. Now let's take a closer look at the Acer. Let's address the elephant in the room. This has to be the whitest Acer 6311 out there. I've looked online, I've tried finding other models, I've tried finding pictures of it, and I've never come across another one that's as pristine white as this is. It feels like this has had absolutely no use. It came in its original box, I believe, and it's in absolutely fabulous condition. I've never had an old vintage keyboard from the mid-90s that would be this nice. It's incredible. I was absolutely blown away by the condition. I didn't really have to do much cleaning at all to get this one up and running. And I mean, the switches feel perfect. They feel new, even to this day. And I've used them a lot, and I didn't have to do any maintenance. What's really nice about this keyboard is that maintenance is actually pretty easy, because all you have to do is just remove the backplate, and then you can access all of the key switches in one, and then you can just you can hoover out the whole thing if you want to, and then get them nice and clean. So like I said, I'm assuming that this was an upgrade to the Syncan keyboard. In a lot of ways, this isn't really an upgrade, but I really like this story. I hope that this is what happened, that they upgraded from the Syncan to this nice Acer keyboard, sticking with the tradition of using mechanical keyboards instead of crappy rubber domes. So I very much appreciate it. I've actually stored this keyboard in its box for years because it's just so nice. I couldn't make myself use it, but I thought to myself, you know what, let's just break it out. I want to use it. It's such a nice keyboard. I want to give it some love. So as you can see, this one has a single unit backspace, which was fairly common with big Accenture keyboards, and there's a very unusual layout here with the control windows and alt keys being fairly wide. By the looks of it, they are 1.5 unit. If you compare it to this normal 1.25 unit control, you can see it is quite a bit longer than that. But if we move it over here on this side, they did use 1.25 unit keycaps, so it's very interesting. Also, one of the nicest features of this keyboard is how amazing the Spacebar sounds like. This has to be the keyboard that I own that has the nicest sounding Spacebar. It's such a nice thocky sound, I love it. Now the keyboard has a very interesting S curvature, and if you have it down on your desk without any elevation, it almost feels like a negative angle keyboard. It's very strange. So I definitely like to open the flip-up feet, but in fact, you get a pretty nice feature when it comes to flip-up feet. You actually have double flip-up feet on each side. So that means you can have two different heights. You can have the maximum height, which would be this. I find it a little bit too steep, personally. I like to use the other setting. So if you close the larger feet only and leave the smaller feet up, then you get the middle option, which is actually fairly similar to most other keyboards without a flip-up feet. So I prefer using this option. The keycaps on the Acer keyboard use Acer's own type font. They are most likely laser edged. They're actually pretty sharp, and I actually like this font, though I do prefer Helvetica over this. And the keycaps, as well as the whole keyboard, is of course ABS. That is exactly why it's so impressive that it has not yellowed one bit. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you again on the next one. Before the video ends, I will be doing a typing demonstration on both keyboards.